You spend money on things you don't need, soon you'll be selling things you do need. That was a comment that I heard from Warren Buffett. Everybody knows that Warren is one of those that absolutely lives a frugal lifestyle, knows where to spend and certainly where not to spend his money. He's made a reference, and I've compiled a list of some of the 5 key areas that Warren Buffett emphasizes are money-losing propositions if you're in the middle class, like 99.9% of us, who just literally go day to day, work our grinds, work our jobs, try to earn enough living to be able to take that 2-week vacation every year, maybe have a house at the end of 30 years, and a couple of cars along the way. Ultimately, there's 5 key elements that Warren Buffett, I don't always take everything that he says truly to the T. I mean, ultimately, he has billions of dollars. I don't. And so a lot of things that he has the luxury of skipping on or doing or not doing doesn't necessarily add up for each and every one of us. I mean, it's easy to say he doesn't need luxury items. But when you can buy pretty much anything, your attitude becomes that. Once you absolutely have the availability or the ability to attain anything in life, it's almost like that goal to achieve it is no longer there. So part of us acquiring goods, whether it's a fun car, whether it's that house, whether it's that new car, whatever, that boat, a lot of it is the chase. A lot of when we're pursuing these things, it's the chase. It's the enjoyment, the excitement that we get, the thrill that we get when we absolutely have to start chasing this down. We know we have to buckle down. We have to earn some money. We have to save some money. It gives us motivation. It gives us the drive to try to find ways to acquire these goods. You want to buy that fun car? You know you're going to have to spend hours and hours and hours on the job site. And while that may seem daunting, it's a goal. It's an objective, something you target for yourself. And I truly believe some of these acquisitions, whether it's a new car or house, is key in the search. Have you never noticed when you're buying a car, some of the most exciting moments are the hunt? It's the searching, it's the investigation of the statistics, it's looking and researching, it's the test drives, it's the negotiations. It's all of those factors. Then once you actually have the car, it's wonderful. Oh, for 6 months, maybe a year, once the dopamine sets off, then you're pretty much back to where you were and you're looking for the next great hit. But quite often, this is a big part of buying goods. It's that dopamine hit, and it's those things that a lot of us aspire to actually own. So we end up chasing it. And that's truly what motivates us to buy some of these goods. So once you have the billions and billions of dollars that people like Warren Buffett have, it no longer becomes that challenge. It's no longer the hunt anymore. And so when the hunt is gone, that dopamine hit, it's really not the same. You could literally go down there, walk, drop a cash down on something, buy a new Lamborghini and not even think twice about it. So part of it is, sure, it's fun to drive those cars, but part of it is knowing that you had to work, buckle down, and it's the reward that you get from absolutely working and knowing what it took to get there. See, that's something, once you're at that level, a lot of these people, I truly believe, don't have that same perspective that a lot of us do in the middle class. Suffice it to say, I'm going to give you 5 of those truth nuggets that Warren Buffett truly lives by and states that if you're the middle class, these would be some of your biggest financial mistakes. Okay, well, let's just take this from the top. One of them, of course, is buying cars. Everybody knows cars depreciate. And since we're talking about the very subject, we're not even talking about exclusive exotics or some of those rare collectibles. I mean, those are on another niche, and that's another conversation. I'm talking about a daily driven car, something that you would use every day, something to get to and from work, something to take the kids to school, something just to get around. The problem with those kind of cars is, on average, they depreciate a substantial amount. And so when people worry about saving money for the future, saving money for retirement, saving money to have money, and then they go out and spend money on a $100,000 truck and quickly find out that in 3 years that vehicle's lost 40 grand, or in 5 years it's lost almost half of its original value, then you start to wonder, well, what sort of common sense does that look like? Then you start to wonder, is that the best place for the investment? Is that the best place for people to put their money? Well, unfortunately, a lot of us get into that conundrum. You want that next new shiny toy, and as I said, it's the pursuit. It's that shopping for that next shiny toy that often gets us chasing that down, wanting that new car. It's that dopamine hit that often gets us there. But according to Warren Buffett, that's one of those items that if you can do without it, because it's likely going to cause you a lot of disruption in your life. It's going to likely extend the need to have to work longer and longer and longer into retirement. Now, I get it. What do we work for? What do we do all this for? It's an easy justification. I work hard. I earned it. I deserve it. But just for your own peace of mind, just realizing that the more often you do that, the more that pushes you back. I like to use this as a bit of an analogy. Think about a Range Rover. You know, if say you're an upper middle class and you want to buy a Range Rover Sport, and maybe every 5 years you're doing that. Okay, well, that's Range Rover Sport's $100,000 Canadian, let's say. $100,000. Okay, so after tax earnings, $100,000. Before tax, it's $200,000. Okay, $200,000. You do 5-6 of these in your lifetime because you spread that out every 5 years. That's 20 years. You buy these expensive cars. Now you're at $1 million. Now you start thinking about that's $1 million after tax earnings. What could you have done with that $1 million? There's a good possibility you could have probably spent it somewhere like retire. Maybe buy that little retirement villa, possibly travel, spend a lot more time with friends and family and a little bit less time at the office because maybe you're able to retire a few years earlier. Ultimately, it's buying these cars, and even more so, upscale premium luxury cars that puts people on their heels, that puts people in a position of vulnerability and unfortunately hampers their finances. And this is what Warren Buffett's getting at. Buying cars and their heavy depreciation is one of the biggest money traps that you can possibly imagine. And we all love it. We all have our vices and our weaknesses. But just know the more often you do that, the more that hurts. And welcome back to the hustle and welcome back to the grind, everybody. I just thought I'd cut midway through. Be sure if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, I could really use the support, really trying to build this up because really it matters. It matters if we have time to spend with our friends and family. It matters to have the money to be able to retire earlier. It matters to live life and not necessarily for the corporate environment that is there to literally flog you down. But anyway, let's get back into the second topic. And the second thing that Warren Buffett said that will literally destroy your income and your net worth is gambling. Gambling is one of those things that will sink the proverbial ship. We've seen this time and time again. I spoke about this in a video previously about how a good friend of mine lost his shirt and then some by gambling. We all get into it. It's fun to go down and drop some money on the table, play a little crap, play a little blackjack or poker. It's fun from time to time. But when that fun turns into a habit and it becomes chronic, that's one of the biggest money wasters you can possibly imagine. Nobody ever comes out ahead. And anybody who thinks that they can do it professionally and come out ahead and make money, I think you're just fooling themselves because we know statistically you are vastly against the odds and the house always wins. And a lot of it comes down to human error, or humans clearly want more and more and more. It's agreed. We don't know when to quit. We just keep wanting to play. You have a good run, that gets you hooked. The first time you have a big win, you're hooked for life. You keep playing, and then eventually you give all of that back and many times over. So ultimately, gambling is one of the biggest, worst spots that you could possibly consider spending your money on, and it's likely going to hamper your ability to retire early or spend it on things that actually really matter in your life. Another area that Warren Buffett truly believes that you should never blow your money is on luxury goods. Now, you can make a conversation about some of those high-end premium luxury cars, high-end exotics that actually hold value and go up. But that's just the anomaly. Generally speaking, things like watches, brand name clothing. You'll notice I don't wear a ton of brand name clothes and maybe I look like a little bit of a pauper, but I'm fine with that. See, I'm not one to carry all these brand names and wear all these brand names all day long just to show off some other brand or to carry some clout. And that's one of the biggest mistakes and what a lot of things people get into. They want to carry the brand names. They want to wear those fancy shoes, the fancy expensive watch, the hats, all the clothes to look like a movie star. And a lot of people, some of the people that I've met in my life that wear all of that clout are some of the poorest people, generally speaking, when it comes to income and and what they do and how they live on a day-to-day basis, some of them are actually don't have the means and certainly are trying to live a lifestyle where they're trying to portray themselves as something they're not. And that's the unfortunate part. There's a little bit of insecurity. We all have those insecurities. We all have those moments where we feel a little bit shy or insecure about our lives or how we look, or, we want to go on these weight loss plans, or we want to do these things, or want to wear this great new shirt because it makes us feel nice. But unfortunately, this is where a lot of people get snookered, is getting caught up in that. We see it on TV, we see it on the movie stars, we see it in the magazines, and we all want just a little taste of it. If we have the ability to go out there and throw down that $3,000 for that new purse, you know what, and we saw it somewhere that we liked on some TV show, a lot of people are inclined to absolutely start doing that. Maybe reach out, spend some of that money to get that new acquired purse or hat or watch. But ultimately, according to Buffett, that's one of the worst places you can blow your money. If you're looking at holding on any of your wealth, that's one area you definitely will get rid from your life. Another area of waste, according to Buffett, is upgrading your home. Whether it's big remodeling, big renovations, maybe selling your smaller home and moving into something bigger. Like they say, bigger is better. No, not always true when you're dealing with housing and real estate. I mean, quite often, we've seen it all over in Florida right now, people losing their shirts. The market is going in the tank. We're seeing it in Ontario, Toronto, where, of course, the market now is in such where people are losing their shirts on their real estate. So it has its ups and downs. Sure, over time, housing goes up. Over time, you will possibly make a profit depending on the market. But generally, sinking yourself into a position where you're house poor is one of the worst places you can put your money. Now, some say, well, it's your primary residence. Yes, absolutely. We all have to live somewhere. There's always that debate about, is it cheaper to rent or to own? I mean, if you draw out and amortize your costs on a house over, say, 25 years, there's a good chance that you're going to be in a much worse spot financially to buy a house. Because by the time you purchase that house, by the time the house is 20, 25 years old, you're probably starting to pour renovations into it. Another 15 grand for a roof, hot water tank, furnace, all those things, all that starts to add up. Next thing you know, you're into it for another $20,000, $30,000. Then it's time to upgrade the kitchen cabinets. After 25 years, you're basically rebuilding the cosmetics of the home again. And so by the time you add in all these renovations, the initial costs, the costs as well from borrowing from the bank on your mortgage, add all that up, property taxes and the like, there's a high possibility that you would have been out much further ahead financially if you're renting. Now, renting has its drawbacks too, and a lot of times in apartments, you got to worry about clients and customers and condo fees and all kinds of other catastrophes. But there is a debate either way, and buying a house is one thing, you need a place to live, but constantly in this world of upgrading, your 1,500 square foot house wasn't enough for just the two of you or three of you, so you decided you want to go up to a 6,000 or 7,000 square foot house. Many people say, well, because I can and I will. Well, you do that and that's all well and good, but unfortunately that is exactly one of the biggest wealth killers that you can possibly imagine. Constantly in this world of being house poor, upgrading, that's a quick way to drain your bank account and your surefire way to make sure that you retire at noon on the day before you pass away. I saw that as per a comment of one of the viewers there. I love that comment, by the way. I'll be retired at the lunchtime of the day that I pass away. I love that. That's hilarious. Another place that Warren Buffett truly believes is the worst place you can spend your money is the hidden economy, or that cost of low quality goods. We see it all the time. I mean, people ordering stuff from Amazon, it's showing up at their doorstep almost every single day. That's a waste of money largely, by and large. And some people say, well, they can save money that way. Yeah, for things that you truly need. But it's all of that knick-knack, tallywhack, all of that junky, low-quality stuff. Go to the dollar store, low-quality junk. Most of that stuff's trash and you wind up in the garbage in 2 months anyway. So sadly, that's a market and that's an economy of itself. It's sort of a low-grade economy that consumes people and absolutely eats into so much your income, way more than you would ever imagine. And so that's another area that Warren Buffett strongly advises try to stay away from as much as possible. While he doesn't truly believe in spending your money in these high-dollar quality luxury goods, I mean, there's a happy sweet spot. Buy those things that you need. Quality parts, pieces that you're not replacing that shirt every month because it's such low-grade rags. But don't be blowing all your money in that low-quality junk that you find in these places on Amazon or, like I said, at the dollar store. That's a surefire way to blow your income in a way that you've never seen before. And seriously, A lot of these ways that Warren Buffett finds to save money, again, take it all with a grain, because realistically, we're not in the same tax bracket. We do see as the pursuit and the hunt of that new car as a little bit of that recognition for our rewards and for our hard work. It's just a different environment we're in. But understand this, he's built his wealth up substantially, and you know what? Lead by example, ultimately. That's how he lives, frugally. And so if you too want to live a world and a life where you can afford to sustain or possibly even retire early, I've kind of followed loosely a lot of his guidelines, because that's truly how I live, very frugally generally with most of my life. And with all of that said, if you want to follow more great advice, my father right there, some of the key words that he told me just before he passed, seriously stuck with me for life. And you're going to love that video. It is absolutely, truly heartwarming. Hope to see each and every one in the next one. See you real soon. Bye-bye.